Welcome to episode 4 of the Angry Black Atheist Podcast. This is Rakeem coming to you, along with my co-hosts, JJ.
Hello.
Holly.
Hello.
And our special guest this week, Miss Shilpa. How are you doing today?
Good. Doing well.
Alright. Shilpa's going to be joining us for today's episode, which should be very interesting. Before we even get started, Happy Zombie Jesus Day, everyone.
Ooh.
Aren't you all glad that white Jesus died for our sins this day? Oh, come on.
Nah.
Nobody? No
I
one.
can go either way with it.
When do we get candy?
Oh, we don't get candy.
Tomorrow.
Chocolate bunnies.
Get candy tomorrow when it's half off.
What do you mean tomorrow? I'm getting them tonight when this podcast is over. I'm about to go smash some bunnies. And so speaking of white Jesus and all his blessings, today's podcast we're going to be talking about the joys of white privilege. So, because we got one black guy today, our other co-host Samantha has decided she's going to disappear on this holiest of days. So we got one black guy and 2 white people. And what would you just say your ethnicity is, Shilpa?
Indian.
Indian. I want to be very correct.
But Indian from India, not Native American.
Yeah. I almost said something offensive. I apologize. I almost said dot, not tomahawk.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, let's not go into me being ethnically insensitive. Thank you, JJ. But because I'm showing my privilege today. But
Black privilege.
Black privilege. We get 2% privilege.
Yeah, you get to say racist things and no one calls you racist.
True.
Oh no, they still call him racist.
Well,
but
true.
it just depends on who calls him racist.
Very true. We get 3/5 privilege. But so I'm gonna open up with most people have known this week about the terror attack in Brussels, correct?
Yep.
So I mean, once again, it's a tragedy. Anytime there's a loss of life, it's a tragedy. But last week, on the Ivory Coast, there was an attack on the beach done by, let's see, it was Al Qaeda. Actually, it was actually Al Qaeda, where 22 people were literally gunned down on a beach. Yet we did not hear any of this in America and the rest of the world.
It's the first I've heard of it.
Exactly. This was last week on the Ivory Coast. They said 6 figures came to the beach. People were just enjoying themselves, came to the beach with grenades and guns, and just started killing men, women, and children. Yeah,
Nice sound.
that
effect.
was inappropriate. My phone was not off. We're gonna leave that in to show I'm an asshole. But
Hey, it was hilarious.
you shut your mouth, JJ.
At least hilarious for people who play Cards Against Humanity on a regular basis.
Shut up, JJ.
Rakeem, this is why you don't win that game. You have to embrace the fact that you are just a horrible human being.
I'm trying to be a better human being. That's why I'm discussing issues like this, what we're talking about. Thank you, JJ, for getting us back to where we started on. Anyway, yes, 22 people were killed on the beach in Ivory Coast, yet we hear nothing about it. But, of course, we hear about Brussels. Everybody, did their whole Pray for Brussels thing. And, before this, there was, of course, Pray for Paris. And it just amazes me how so many horrible things, these acts of terrorism, and most of the time it's the same groups that are getting publicity for doing it in the European countries. These same attacks are happening in, we'll just go with brown countries, and we hear nothing about it. We don't care about these people. We don't hear about them. We don't get to mourn for them. We don't get to help them.
We don't change our Facebook photo for them.
We do not change our Facebook photo for them.
Well, to be fair to the people on Facebook, most of them haven't heard about it, so they haven't had the option to change their Facebook photo.
True. I mean, that says everything. And that's, of course, back to the word of the day, it's white privilege in a nutshell. We get to mourn when white Europeans get hurt, get killed, and suffer, but when the rest of the world does it, nothing. There's nothing. No sympathy, no empathy, nothing. And that's bullshit, of course. I know Holly wrote an article about the Brussels attacks this week, right?
Yes, I did.
So, yeah, go for it.
The one that I wrote for Paris was much more focused on the fact that we don't talk about non-white countries as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I did include a little thing in this Brussels attack one, basically saying that very selfishly, I'm almost glad we don't talk about the other ones, because I'm a very, I'm very like soft-hearted, so I don't know if I can handle hearing about all of these deaths all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's horribly selfish. But
Well, they happen almost constantly in Africa.
Yeah. Not even just Africa. I mean, the Middle East and
Yeah.
one of the defenses I hear from my friends who, well, I use the term friend very, very loosely. My acquaintances who don't believe in white privilege and things like that, they will argue that we don't care about those other attacks because they're in war zones. So if there's, an attack somewhere in the Middle East and there's already conflict there, then it's not a big deal because it's like a conflict zone. I don't think that.
I'm saying the whole world's a damn war zone. Is the Ivory Coast what?
That's inaccurate. It's like the Ivory Coast an embattled area right now?
No. Ivory Coast is not an embattled area. It's
wrong to say the whole world's a war zone.
For these quote unquote terrorist groups, the whole world's a war zone.
Well, yeah, but it's different living in Baghdad than it is in like London.
True.
So to say it's the whole world's a war zone is just a gross oversimplification.
Okay, I'll go with you on that one. You can have it. You can have it. But I mean, yeah, you're right. So we shouldn't, according to people who don't believe white privilege exists, and we don't get to care for it because it's a war zone. But we even have to question why certain places are deemed war zones. I mean, like you were saying about the Ivory Coast, you had to ask: is it a war zone? Like, is something happening there? And it would be a no. Like, Ivory Coast is for what it is. It's pretty like bustling. It's pretty like safe, considering.
Do we know that for sure, or are we speculating?
No, it's one of the Ivory Coast is one of the growing countries in that region.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And here's another story, and this is the same thing. This is a mosque, and of course, mosques don't get to count in anything. But a mosque was bombed on Wednesday in Nigeria, and 22 worshipers were killed.
Yeah, that one was particularly this is going to sound awful. When I hear about these sort of attacks, if I need to emotionally distance myself, I think about whether or not it was interesting or particularly effective in how they did it. Which is horrible. When I hear a school shooting at this point, I just ask if it's a high score so that I don't emotionally break down. But it was 2 female suicide bombers. One went inside and detonated her vest or belt or whatever it was, and the other one was waiting outside and detonated hers while people were escaping.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That is horrifying. And this was as recent as Wednesday. But this is not newsworthy, apparently.
Muslim against Muslim, Western media is not going to care about that at all.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at Syria. All you hear on the news is about how bad ISIS is, or ISIL. But ISIL, I don't. Yeah, I didn't want to butcher that. You hear how bad they are and how they're going to, bomb and terrorize the European and Western worlds. When I've looked at the recent statistic, half of Syria's population has been uprooted. Half of the population of Syria has been uprooted. Why isn't this on blast in the rest of the world? We hear about over and over again, once again, the terror attacks in European countries and Western countries, even San Bernardino, which was very loosely related, got blown up and in the media. But when half of an entire population of a country is uprooted because of terrorists, I don't even want to say terrorists, they are monsters at this point, just ravaging an entire country. And not only do we not give a shit, but when it comes down to helping those people, half the damn population of at least the United States loses their mind over the idea of helping them. But they get to sit around in their little happy homes and not worry about it. And it will never be a real issue for them. And that's one of the biggest fucked up things about, being especially white in the Western world and America in general, is you can hear about these attacks and whatever, and even the European attacks, but they really won't be a real issue for you. Just not. Because you're in the greatest group in the greatest country in the world. You ain't got to worry about shit.
The problem with that is they don't.
Too.
The problem with that is they don't feel privileged because a lot of them are poor. Like, I was arguing with somebody on Facebook just the other day about how poor unemployed people don't support Bernie Sanders. They support Donald Trump.
True.
Because they don't feel privileged because their lives are pretty shit, but don't realize that if they're just walking down the street, they have a lot fewer worries than, say, a black person walking down the street.
Right. That's since you brought up Bernie Sanders, that the thing he said. I'm sure JJ, I'm sure you can say this better than me. The thing about white people, poor white people, don't really understand what it's like to be poor. ? But
I don't remember the quote exactly.
Yeah,
I saw it a dozen times taken straight out of context all over Facebook, and I yanked out my hair and bit my tongue and didn't bother because the people posting it were people not worthy of commenting back on.
Well, for those who don't know, what it boiled down to was, he said, well, the out of context quote was, unless you were black and in the ghetto, you don't really know what it's like to be poor. And of course, people lost their white people lost their minds about it, saying, well, we know what it's like to be poor. You don't get to say we don't know the experience of what it's like to be poor. But what he really said and what he really meant what was meant by that statement was, you will never know what it's like to be black and poor in America. And what JJ was saying, the thing with privilege is for the poor white people, they don't realize that they do benefit from being white. It's hard being black. I'll just put that out there. It's black in America. It's fucking hard from birth. because you start off behind. Just to be real, no matter where you are in the economic strata, you start off behind. You start off behind in the race. And if you're black and poor, you're the lowest of the low.
Well, I think one reason why like white people have such a negative reaction to this term white privilege is because when you say they have white privilege, they think you're saying they have it easy, like their life is great. Whereas like maybe it's not, maybe they're really poor, maybe they're facing other struggles, but like that doesn't negate the fact that like they still benefit from white privilege. Like when you say someone has white privilege, you're not saying their life is great and easy. Yeah. And I think that's what like gets misunderstood. Right.
It's like a race. I mean, it's still hard to run the damn race, but you don't have an extra weight on you. I mean, I'm not going to say you're not going to be tired when the race is over.
And you might have other weights on you that maybe a more well-off person of color doesn't have to worry about, but you still have like the white privilege.
Yeah, which helps.
Well, here's an example. I was several years ago. I was having to walk to and from work at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I did this for about 2 years. And the one time it happened to be so cold and rainy that I had multiple layers, and I was wearing a hoodie on top and had my face covered. I got stopped by the cops twice. That was the only time I got stopped in the entire 2 years I was walking back and forth to work, when they couldn't see my face and see that I was a white guy.
Damn. I mean, it makes sense, but damn. and that wasn't even, like, you were just assumed to be something other than white just then. Like, it wasn't even, you just happened to be wearing the costume.
Yeah.
That's even the craziest. That's the craziest thing. Down to your clothes, there are limitations set per race. You know, I'm sure with you, Shilpa, people would expect something else, or will expect something more. Like, have you run into something where somebody was like surprised?
What do you mean?
Like,
you're surprised I'm not in med school sometimes.
Yeah. Like, where you've defied any, like, the general stereotypes, and somebody was like, oh, well,
Well, the thing about Indians is, like, they're racialized in a very different way than black people. And a lot of the stereotypes are just, like, from this model minority stereotype.
Oh, exactly.
So, I think, in that sense, the stereotypes aren't as detrimental. Like, there's still racism, there's still discrimination, but I would say it's definitely nowhere as bad as being black in America.
Oh, wait, we got the history.
I think you guys win the prize.
Yeah, we win the prize of... Damn.
Hey, the Native Americans might disagree with you on that. At least you didn't have to worry about genocide.
Yeah, Native Americans, I think they're like first place. And then,
yeah, no, they got racist out of existence.
Well, it really depends on whether or not you think a genocidal war or being enslaved would be worse. So it's kind of a toss-up, really.
Well, some Native Americans were enslaved too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can argue that at least we're talking about, like, black issues now, whereas we still barely discuss Native issues.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when they cordon you off to tiny sections of land and tell you to be quiet and stay there.
And wipe out 90% of your population, so you have a very small voice.
True. Hey, they only kept us around because we were useful.
So it's been about a year now, but I got into a Facebook argument with one of my friend's little brothers. He goes to Biloxi High School, and there was an issue where the marching band was wearing headdresses during their halftime show. And this little 15-year-old boy was trying to argue with me, saying that it's fine for them to wear headdresses because it's honoring the Biloxi Indian tribe that no longer exists. And there's a whole plethora of issues with that. One, the Biloxi Indian tribe still exists. Two, they never wore headdresses. That's what Plains Indians wore.
Mm-hmm.
And three, headdresses had to be like earned. Like happening to hold an instrument isn't really. I understand that marching band can be difficult, but it's not warfare.
Now we're getting into cultural appropriation.
Yes, which is damn
a whole another topic, but related, I think, to white privilege.
Definitely. Well, I mean, hate to say it, but that always comes up with, which is once again another side effect of white privilege. When it comes up to cultural appropriation, it always becomes, with just about any culture, is like, oh, well, we can do this, especially with white people. It's like, we can do this because it's just honoring them, with not realizing you're kind of being an asshole.
Well, I suppose it would, at least in the case of sports mascots or things, there are ways you can do it that is respectful to the culture, whereas like Florida State has permission from the Seminole tribe to use the Seminole as their mascot, and the Washington Redskins are using a racial slur as their mascot.
Also, that's true. Yeah, that's like having the Buffalo Negroes. Like, no one's gonna get away with that.
I use a bit more graphic example.
I didn't want
to try to relate that to people.
I didn't want to say that hard R. I mean,
yeah.
I like to say, I like to say a lot of things. I'll say fucking shit and all that, but I'm trying not to throw the hard R out there. It kind of hurts me right in my soul.
Yeah. Well, usually when I'm arguing this, it's with my brother, so I need a lot more force to penetrate that thick skull.
Did you say you're going to penetrate your brother?
I said I'm going to penetrate his thick skull.
Okay, sorry, I blacked out there for a second.
I know you're fantasizing about me penetrating you, Rick.
Oh, dude, that's not appropriate.
So incest is fine, but you having gay sex isn't?
No.
That's where the line is?
No.
Or interracial sex.
It's the interracial part.
Interracial gay
That's
sex.
the part. Interracial gay sex. That's too much. It's asking for too much. I mean, you pick one or the other. You can't just have both.
So you can have gay sex, but it has to be with a black man.
Damn it. I don't like this. I don't know where this conversation is going. Take it back.
It's a little unfair. I mean, all the guys that have ever hit on me have been black, so...
I mean, you do have long hair. You kind of...
I can't help it that I'm pretty.
You heard it here, folks. He says he's pretty, and he has sex with black dudes.
I did not say I have sex with black dudes. I said I get hit on by black dudes.
There's nothing wrong with that, JJ. Okay?
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
Whatever floats your boat. Do it for your people, JJ. By doing it with other people. I'm sorry, we got way off track there for a second.
But I think, Holly, you bring up a good point about, like, the high schoolers wearing the headdresses. And I think, like, one of the best tests of, like, is this cultural appropriation is, like, if it's cool when a white person does it, but somehow, like, not cool when a person of color does it. Like with the whole, like, a lot of Indian things are culturally appropriated, and it's like, yeah, it's cool when, like, Madonna wears a bindi, but if an Indian person does it, they get shot in the face because people think they're, like, a Muslim terrorist, you know? So, I think, I don't know, at least that's how I look at it. And then there's, like, the issue of profit. Like, you have, like, Urban Outfitters, like, selling, like, Navajo blankets and, like, headdresses or whatever. So it's, like, they're making profit off of someone's culture. So, I don't know. Because I think it's very hard to argue sometimes against people who are like, yeah, I'm just honoring this culture, or like, I think it's so cool, and like, I want to like be part of this, and like, why can't people just like, you know, share cultures? And I'm like, oh, people can share cultures, but sometimes it's very uncomfortable for the people whose culture is being appropriated.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to deal with some of this. Like, luckily I caught myself before it happened, but So I'm a religion major, and I have a cross on my thigh because I used to be a Christian and I wanted to be a missionary. So I guess I wanted to brand myself. I'm no longer a Christian, obviously, but instead of getting it removed, I wanted to sort of build my left thigh into this sort of world religions tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And most religions, like, the things I wanted to do are okay. But then the problem was, and I didn't realize it was not okay at the time, was I wanted to have like a large Ganesh be the center of my leg. For those not aware, Ganesh is he's a Hindu god with the elephant head and normally a little rat with him. The remover of obstacles, son of Shiva, and other details that most people don't care about. But I found out that if you have like an image of like the deity on the lower part of your body, that's considered incredibly disrespectful. So now I can't get my tattoo, but at least I didn't.
So you didn't get your tattoo?
No, I did. I did not do it. The moment I found out it was not okay, I stopped myself.
Well, that's really good that you looked into that before getting your tattoo.
BuzzFeed article let you know.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Thank you, BuzzFeed. And she's still rocking the cross, though.
Well, at least now being an atheist, it's not hypocritical to have a tattoo.
Is it ironic now, the cross?
She has an ironic cross. Oh.
It's not seen
much.
much.
There's a lot of
Holly,
in the background.
Holly?
You hear me?
Yes, you got some fuzziness going on.
About to pump gas, just like y'all do your thing.
The thing about this podcast, there's always random shit going on. Holly's pumping gas. But like on the topic, this comes with like the culture, this appropriation thing, and white privilege in general. I got really upset the other day about something. So I was big reveal. I actually like country music.
Hey, I like country music too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
See? I feel like now that once you admitted it, I felt like it was safe for me to also admit this.
That's what we do here, but we're providing safe places.
It's a safe space.
Safe space. Yeah, but you're white.
Yeah, no, I'm allowed to. People around here would find it odd that I don't typically.
JJ, we're not hearing you through the speakers.
Yeah, we're having problems with the speaker.
We can just hear your voice like normally.
I can't hear JJ.
Yeah.
Okay, we've lost JJ.
There we go.
All right, JJ's back. Hey, like I said, always a surprise here. But as we were saying, I was saying, and
you're upset about something.
Yeah, I was upset about something. So I like country music, and that's like a cardinal sin of blackness. Like you don't. I mean, I've committed enough cardinal sins of blackness by being an atheist, but liking country is definitely up top. Unless you're Nelly, who can just go and be on country songs for no damn reason. So my sister and I were listening to country music in the car, and we were, enjoying it, because we're country. We grew up in the South and on back country roads and stuff. So country music like speaks to you. And then I like stop for a second. I go, outside of this moment here with you and my nieces, I can't listen to this with other black people. Because if I just was riding with other black people and put on country music, most of them would go, man, change that. Why you listen to that white people stuff? Because, I mean, being black in America, one of the things that just comes with the culture is you don't listen to country music because country music is considered white. It's considered something you listen to when you're white. And if you listen to country music, especially a lot, most of the time it's one of the parts of being quote-unquote sold out. So honestly, and I realized this, when I became a person, like an adult trying to be, social and stuff, I kind of stopped listening to the country music. I just stopped myself because I just felt like it wasn't something I was supposed to do. And I got so upset with myself and just so upset with everything because, that's an effect of whiteness and blackness that you don't get to hear often. There are things that black people can't do because it's considered white, but there are not many things that white people do that will be completely shut out.
Or if a white person does a black thing, like Kylie Jenner wearing cornrows, that's cool and edgy and a fashion statement. But a black woman wearing cornrows is considered unprofessional in her workplace, or her hair is not professional. So.
Right.
Well, I don't know of anyone who thinks Kylie Jenner is professional.
But she's considered cool for wearing this black hairstyle, where a black woman who wears it is not that's frowned upon.
Yeah, that's they were talking about the UFC fighters with their braids. I forgot what they call them now, and how that's becoming fashionable. And I'm just thinking, black people have been wearing their hair like that for centuries.
That's only cool when a white person does it.
Yeah, it's only cool when a white person does it. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. Damn it. Sorry, my anger is building.
The angry part of the angry black.
The angry part of the angry black atheist is coming out. I mean, fucking come on. There are so many things that I can't enjoy openly without judgment because I'm black. I like musicals. I fucking love musicals. You put the producers on, I will sing every damn song. But if I went out and was man, I really like the producers, or I just read a Shakespearean play, I would get looked at so stupidly. What the hell is wrong with you? And I think that's it's so much bullshit. White people can literally go out and, well, in this country at least, you can go out and do anything you want.
It's not always okay for men to like musicals, though, but that has more to do with toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
Yeah, that's a completely different subject. And in the black community, that kind of goes hand in hand, because toxic masculinity and being a man in the black community is also tied with blackness. So if you don't fit the mold of a black man, you're also not black. But that's a whole different thing. Same neighborhood, same ballpark, different conversation, which we'll probably get to at some point. But I just fuck.
Rakeem just wants to listen to musicals.
I just want to be allowed to be myself without judgments, even in my own community. No one thinks, when we talk about white privilege and that thing, a lot of time we just think of it in terms of white people, like white people profiting, white people being having an advantage and that type of things. But no one thinks of how that actually affects the mindsets of people of other cultures, other ethnicities in America, especially, because what you are allowed to do as white, quote unquote, sets the tone of what you can and cannot do, especially in the black community being in the position that it's in. Blackness is so tied to, bring up Ebonics, for instance, or African American vernacular English. Using proper English, quote unquote, or proper English as American English can get, is considered white, quote unquote, in in a lot of the black community. Not using Ebonics can be considered selling out. And that's ridiculous. You can't even talk differently. So yeah. Everybody hear me?
Yeah, there's just noise in the background.
Sorry, I've had to go to 3 different gas stations. This has been an adventure, y'all.
This is the side adventure on the podcast. I should cut this out, but I don't want to. It's kind of funny, like Holly's quest for gas.
It's important.
It's like a side.
Well, where exactly are you driving through? Do you need to be worried?
I'm in Batesville.
Oh.
You should be worried.
You should be worried.
Oh yeah, I'm so scared of Batesville with their Zaxby's and their Planters Bank.
Planters. Look, I don't
That's
trust.
what I'm looking at.
I don't trust Planters.
I haven't even heard of that bank.
It doesn't exist. Probably doesn't exist outside of Batesville. Oh my gosh, that's on a even different note, but on the same subject. So, because I'm the anger is building, and I'm just thinking about things that have made me angry in this same field. So last night I had a friend of mine who was out with her friends on the famous square in Oxford, Mississippi. Two young black women, and these guys and these white guys in a truck came by and offered to give them a ride. They said no, we're just walking to our cars. We don't need a ride. They were pressured to get in. We'll drive you to the car. They're like, no, we're fine. We're just going to walk. And of course, you're not going to get in the car with strange men generally. Well, when they kept refusing, they were then yelled at, told or called. I'm going to have to use the hard R. They were called nigger bitches.
How did I know that was going to be it?
And
how did I know?
And then they were saying we can't wait till later we can lynch you all.
Hold on.
That's terrifying.
This was last night in 2016. These poor girls were just out trying to get back to their car, and because they wouldn't get into a situation where they would have most likely been assaulted, because if these guys said that to them afterward, there was I'll have a pretty good idea of what they were going to try to do once they got in that vehicle.
Makes me wonder if they're the same guys that tried to assault one person I gave a ride home to from the square a few weeks ago. The cops put her in my cab and asked me to take her home because somebody had tried to force her into their car. And she was quite freaked out and bawling, and I spent the whole trip telling her it's okay. That everybody that gets in my cab gets home safe, and
that's ridiculous. And these guys have no fear. They have absolutely no fear. They have no fear that someone's going to get them in trouble. They have no fear that anything's going to happen to them. There's no fear of reprisal, nothing. I wouldn't dare try anything like that, or even close. If I said,
well, you wouldn't want to try anything.
Of course, but I mean, if I was that type of asshole, if I was that type of asshole, I still wouldn't try anything like that because they take my black ass under the jail.
Right, and like it's also playing into this trope of like the aggressive black man like doing something to like the fragile white woman. Like,
exactly.
This is like this idea that people already have in their mind. So if you were the kind of asshole to do this, like, yeah, the consequences would be much harsher.
And I'm little. Like if I make a threat on somebody, shit. But still, even in my case of being little, if I were to do that, I wouldn't even make it to jail. Let's just be real. I wouldn't make it to jail. I'd be they most likely, they most likely find me in a tree somewhere. Side note, on the further adventures of Holly, she hit someone.
Yeah.
So
I hope it's not.
I hope she's okay.
Could use a little more information so we know if we need to be worried, Holly.
Well, no, she says she's busy, so we're gonna go with she's okay. We're gonna keep going on, and hopefully she'll be back with us.
And assume everything's all right.
Yeah, assume everything's all right. Like I said, she sent the message
for her.
Yeah, yeah. We'll think happy thoughts. But I'm assuming everything's okay. She did just say hit someone busy, so not hit someone. Or I was in a car.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah. So we're going to assume everything is okay. Oh my gosh. But anyway, back to what we were saying. It's just amazing to me, and this another story was on the news, kind of on the thing of having no fear about reprisal or getting in trouble. There was a group of frat boys up here at the University of Mississippi, as always, that beat another one into a coma. It's like 5 dudes, and this made national news. They were on CNN in their mugshot, smiling. And I remember specifically the CNN anchor going, I can't believe it. Why would they be smiling after doing such a horrible deed and all this? And all I could think was, they're smiling because they know they're not going to get in trouble. This made the news. This is...
It's like the affluenza kid of last year, I believe it was, that while drunk killed like 4 people and injured others and spent 0 time in prison because his parents were rich.
Jeez. And the kid who went up in that church and killed that black church and killed all those people. I mean, first of all, when was the last time you even heard about that kid?
Dylan Roof. I was thinking about him because he was very nicely escorted from the scene, arrested and escorted by police officers, whereas and he's a mass murderer. Mm-hmm. And whereas you have a black kid playing in a park who gets shot by police officers for apparently no reason,
mm-hmm.
apparent reason. So it's just this completely disproportionate response.
It's completely with Dylan Roof, and this was what I was going to bring up. Not only did they escort him away nicely, they took him out for lunch. He went to Burger King right afterward. When was the last time someone got arrested and got lunch? Anybody?
I feel like if that had been a black person in a white church, the police officers probably would have just shot him. Would they have actually, arrested him in the same way?
No, definitely
Find it
not.
Unlikely.
I mean, you got young black kids out here getting shot for having a bag of Skittles. But you can go up if you're a white guy, you can go up in the church and get escorted out nicely. Just the fact that you get to come back alive and get a trial. Oh my God! You remember a few years back, the guy who walked into the theater said he was the Joker during the Batman opening and just murdered a theater full of people.
Yep.
And he came out alive. Ain't no way. If that was not even just black people, that was any other race of person in America, they would have gotten killed.
Well, another side of this that we haven't talked about is when that white person went and mass murdered a bunch of people, other white people don't need to apologize for that. They're not responsible. But when it's a person of color, it's everyone is, if it's a Muslim, all Muslims are responsible
mm-hmm.
for that person. They need to apologize for that person. But when it's a white person who does something shitty, it's you don't hold white people responsible.
Oh, yeah.
It's just this lone case, and they're sort of labeled as, troubled troubled individuals.
Troubled and
who just went and shot up a movie theater.
We have no, this always thing, we had no idea he would ever do this. I mean, he always seemed like such a nice guy. And he's just so deeply troubled. So deeply troubled. And I'm thinking, this is some bullshit. Like, oh my God. And you're
right. Like
if
they're Muslim, they're evil. But if they're white, then they're just suffering from some sort of mental illness.
And of course if they're black, they're just a bunch of thugs.
Right.
Yeah. That's because apparently we're all thugs.
I saw this interview a few months ago about this white guy whose wife is black, and they have two mixed sons, and he's apparently paranoid as hell, like any parent would be every time his sons go out, because he's afraid they're going to get shot. Which his two sons referred to it as white dad syndrome, because society views the two mixed kids as black typically.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's when you're black, you almost automatically have a target on your back, and you have to be careful. Like, this is funny side story. I had white friends growing up, of course, and they always be like, "Hey, let's go camping and let's go have adventures," and I'm just like, no, because I'm black. Life is already adventure. You don't know what's going to happen from day to day. I might have to run from the police today. I didn't do anything, but I might have to. Who knows? Like,
well, I don't recommend running. I recommend getting down on your knees, hands above your head immediately.
Don't run.
Because they will shoot you as soon as you start running.
If I get out on my back, they're going to shoot me.
I think your odds are better of surviving if you don't run, though.
Yeah, I'm going to be paralyzed. So once I'm down on my back, I'm still going to get shot in the back. So I'm going to be paralyzed even if I do survive.
It's kind of amazing because I think people, want to tell or a lot of black parents, from what I've read, tell their kids, when you get pulled over, don't do this. Keep your hands on the wheel. Don't do this. But then, you hear about these cases where, this guy had his hands on the wheel and he just got shot anyways because he was black. And it's you want to make rules to feel safe, but at the end of the day, it's you're not safe no matter what
There's
you do.
There's also countless instances of police officers on camera planting evidence on somebody they pulled over, typically a black person. And
this makes people wonder why black people are so anti-police because of this shit. This is why we're like, we don't trust you.
We have no reason to trust them. So,
this is what's been happening to us for ever.
Right, the only difference is now there are cameras, so people can watch the videos, and it's somehow, now I feel like it's getting more attention, even though the same thing's been going on for a really long time.
The media, and even social media, and technology is making people confront the systemic racism that's been present forever. It's forcing people to confront it. And it's forcing people to confront the differences in the way different peoples are treated. That's why we're here talking about white privilege now. I didn't hear about white privilege until I was in college, but probably wasn't even to my second or third year of college. Before I would say 3 years ago, the idea of white privilege was not something that was talked about in mainstream media. You wouldn't hear about that on the news. You wouldn't hear people discussing that out in public. It was in academic circles, yes. But with technology the way it is, they can see. Everything is more visible. And they're forcing a discussion. I think it's great. As horrible as seeing these poor, in regards to the deaths and the, young black men and women getting gunned down and killed in police jails and stuff, and even the trans men and women who are getting harassed and killed. It is horrifying that these things are happening, but they've always been happening. And it's a good thing now that people are being forced to deal with it.
I had a argument with my cousin-in-law a couple years ago about police being forced to wear body cams, which I'm obviously in favor of. And I demonstrated the numbers about how police violence drastically is reduced, and he insisted that when the police officer is wearing a body cam, it means the person isn't going to antagonize them. To which I'm like, is this a bad thing then? It reduces the violence either way, no matter who you think's causing it.
It makes the job easier for the police, because a lot of the issues, even with the people getting gunned down, it's not just all racism. What you have police officers who go every day and they are told that the people out there are trying to kill you. They are being taught at their precincts that it's them versus everyone else. And that's fear. When you have body cams on, and like your cousin was saying, okay, that means the person won't antagonize the police officer. Okay, the person won't antagonize the police officer. That means the police officer won't be afraid. And that means he's less likely to use his weapon, and he's more likely to do things by the book, not just from the fear of being caught doing something bad, but just from not having the fear of being antagonized.
Well, it's the same reason all the cabs in this town have video cameras. In the instant, if there is something that happens, there's a video record of it, so you don't have a he said, she said situation.
Mm-hmm. And then you can post those videos on Pornhub. Oh my God. It's just amazing. Like, there are things that we as a people in this country can do to start changing the way things are, and it's crazy to me how hard people fight against it. Like, the same people who say that these white privileges don't exist, that this systemic racism doesn't exist, are the same people fighting so hard to keep that in place. But it doesn't really help. Like, it helps them. It helped them in the way the system has been for the past couple hundred years. But as things progress, it's not really helpful anymore, because it just makes you seem like an asshole.
Well, there was a study, I forget where it was from, but it asked white people about their attitudes toward giving for affirmative action for black people to level the playing field, and they were completely against it. Then they realized that, then they turned it around and demonstrated that the Asians do better than white people, so now they're all in favor of it because it benefits them.
That's like the main group that's most affected by affirmative action, as in getting things based on the group, is white women. That is the demographic that benefits most from affirmative action. Yet when you hear about affirmative action and people being against it, they put a black face on it.
Kind of like how there's a black face on welfare, but most recipients of government benefits are white.
Right. And blackface on crime, but when the major criminals are white.
And drug dealers.
Most yes.
Drug dealers are white.
Well, even on that, this is to go off that, putting colored faces to quote unquote bad things. The public face of terrorism is a Muslim face. But in America,
conservative gun nuts are the more likely to be terrorists.
Exactly. We've had way more instances of white terrorism than...
Well, they don't call it terrorism when it's a white guy, so it doesn't
that's
count.
right. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, look at the Klan. You can, like... They made terrorism an art, and they literally that is the Klan, the purest definition of terrorism. They literally rode around terrorizing people, and this wasn't something like they were proud. They even said, "We go out and terrorize these communities." That was something they're proud of. Like, that was a word they used. We're going to spread terror. But as far as we're concerned,
well, you have Superman to thank for the Klan not being viewed as a terrorist charity organization anymore.
Oh, about to say, like, Superman is the one that made the Klan not a terrorist organization?
That's news to me.
What a dick. I'm definitely Team Batman now. Shit. Kick his ass, Dark Knight. Fuck.
No, it's back in the 1940s, the Klan was viewed as a charity organization until a journalist went undercover, and none of the news organizations would print the story he wanted to write. So he went and used Superman, the comic book, to actually publish his news article.
You mean in comic form?
I don't know exactly. There's a book on it here. It says Superman versus the Ku Klux Klan.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think it was definitely in comic form.
Yeah. It says the true story of how the iconic superhero battled the men of hate.
That's funny. You got a Jewish created Superman taking down charity from the Klan. That's hilarious.
Well, I'm pretty sure a Jewish creator would be more than happy to help fight the KKK.
I'm pretty sure Bernie Sanders is also a Jewish created Superman. Just throwing it out there.
No, he's a socialist Jew, so he's Jesus.
Well, now he's like Snow White. Did you see that video of the bird?
Oh, yeah. he's
Bernie Sanders.
He's a damn Disney princess now.
Pretty much.
Did you see Facebook's response to it? Where he asked if Bernie Sanders got the tweet he sent him?
No.
Oh, there's also a Facebook meme of Ted Cruz saying, please God, if you've chosen the next president of the United States, give us a sign. And the next picture is Bernie Sanders with the bird right in front of him.
You son of a bitch. Be careful what you ask for. Of course God is going to choose Bernie Sanders. He's one of his people.
Yeah.
It's right there in the book. Read it. Oh.
He's a socialist Jew, just like his son.
Which, okay, can I bring that up? Since we're still on the subject of black and white faces, or brown and white faces, why is Jesus still white?
Well, to be fair, he does adopt an appearance of the local culture in which he tends to be worshipped.
Unless you're black.
Well, that's true. But that's
right.
Because you got to look at, for a lot of the history when those areas, churches were built, Africa was ruled by white people.
Are there any black people who worship a black Jesus?
It's becoming more prevalent. Like, there are more and more black churches that will have pictures of a black Jesus. Mm-hmm. But most, especially in the South, no. Actually, there was a couple of churches that I actually brought that up with, like, black and white churches. That I brought up pictures of, when I was a Christian, brought up pictures of Jesus, and was just like, why is this picture this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy when you know he was Jewish, right? Like, Middle Eastern Jewish.
Yeah, it's not a question. I mean, it might be a question of whether or not he actually existed, but if he did, he was definitely Jewish.
Yeah. And man, black people will get, it's like, a lot of black people will get mad, just like really fucking angry if you make Jesus non-white. It is insane. There's actually a classic episode of Good Times, and you know I'm black when I gotta reference Good Times, where Michael, the youngest son, brings in a picture of black Jesus to replace the picture of white Jesus in their home. And the mother, Florida, is not okay. Is just pissed off about it. Like she wants no part of it. Oddly enough, in the episode, the family's fortunes start to turn when they have black Jesus in the house. And they go, oh, well, maybe black Jesus is okay. Like, maybe black Jesus is okay. And they really end the episode with, like, them putting white Jesus back on the wall, like, putting black Jesus by the wall with white Jesus. But the mother, Florida, still goes, I know which one is my savior, and it's the white one. Like, that's still the way it ends.
Wow, that is some serious racist writing right there.
Which and that's insane, because the whole rest of the episode is talking about how awesome this black Jesus is, and as black people, like black Jesus, it's okay to have a black picture of Jesus, and it still ends with that.
Yeah.
Well, is that a commentary on, like, internalized racism? Like, she has this internalized racism where, like, she can't imagine Jesus as black, even though she is black.
That's interesting, and especially with Good Times, when they do, like, hit those points. That honestly probably was it, but that was way before its time. Like, this was the 70s.
Yeah, I haven't seen that show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Don't be surprised to see racism on TV in the 70s.
Yeah, I will say Good Times in its portrayal of black culture, and because it's for those of you who don't know, Good Times is basically this sitcom about this poor black family growing up in the ghetto, and what they have to do to survive, basically. But they're like really good-hearted, moral people, and they deal with a lot of stuff. But that portrayal of poor black people being not thuggish, not like bad people, was like very, very ahead of its time back then.
It was like the Cosby Show of
the
70s.
It was the Cosby Show, but better. Because, okay, my problem with the Cosby Show is the Cosby Show was just... The Cosby Show was white America in blackface. It was something... While Bill Cosby said he meant it to, like, give this inspiration like black people can achieve too, it was an ideal that black history and, like, just black reality could not stand with. Like, you're more than likely, even if there was a black doctor, and that, especially at that time, a black doctor and a black lawyer, they weren't about to be living this almost lavish lifestyle like that. Because to have that sort of lifestyle, to live that upper middle class or even upper class life, you have to have
probably lower upper class.
Lower upper class life.
You got to be a banker to be upper class.
Yeah, which also brings up the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Ain't no damn way. Ain't no damn way. Like, even Uncle Phil, as a high-powered judge, they're not affording that house in the same neighborhood as those rich people. Especially when Uncle Phil was like supposed to have been this guy growing up on a farm. Rags to riches my ass. That is not happening. It's not. That's just not the way the system is set up. But at least Fresh Prince played it for comedy. The Cosby Show played it for, like, this is the way that black America should be. But it really was just white American blackface. It really was. Like, let's take what white America values the most and put a black face on it. And Bill Cosby did a lot of that stuff. That's why I have a big problem with Bill Cosby.
He has done a lot of bad things.
Yeah, no, Bill Cosby is
not even counting the rape.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm just gonna say, fuck Bill Cosby. I'm putting it out there now. All the listeners, my thoughts on Bill Cosby. Fuck Bill Cosby. He is just a shitty dude. Shitty. I would say the best thing Bill Cosby's ever produced was Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. And barely anybody outside of black people in the 1970s had seen Fat Albert and the motherfucking Cosby Kids. That was an awesome show.
I've seen it.
Well, you're an old white guy. JJ's 48 years old.
I am not.
He's aged remarkably well.
Yeah, he's
I mean, I got a baby face to begin with.
he has the face of a child, but the age of a
Rakeem's just
Betty
jealous.
White. JJ he's actually a vampire. He feeds on the blood of innocence. He's an atheist vampire, so he only eats Christian babies.
Feeds on the blood of Christian babies.
Feeds on the blood of Christian babies. Purely.
That Christian baby blood. It's delicious.
I mean, all atheists eat Christian babies, right?
Yeah,
agreed?
Of course.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna have for Thanksgiving dinner?
I'm saying I prefer to go to like Planned Parenthood and get some like fresh ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of Christians there that are have to go into Planned Parenthood before they start protesting. So
yeah, and then see I got a deal with Planned Parenthood. They actually dry them up for me. I can eat them like jerky. Did I cross the line? I crossed the line, didn't I? I think I crossed the line.
Yeah.
The baby jerky is where we draw it.
Yeah.
I wish Holly was here for
you're
this.
You're embracing your inner horrible person.
Might as well. I'm already pissed off. Might as well just be fucking horrible on this show.
Getting ready for a Cards Against Humanity game.
Shut up. Yeah. But huge problem with Bill Cosby. Fuck Bill Cosby. And just once again back to the white privilege thing and just saying anything and what people consider black culture. So there was a football player, former Ole Miss football player, and for the listeners out there, we make a lot of Mississippi references. That's where we are. But a former Ole Miss football player went to Mississippi State, and he was caught on. Black guy is caught on camera with another player, I think, or another friend of his, basically beating the hell out of this girl because she was getting sassy, quote unquote, with them. And when it was brought up that this could possibly be, wrong, the answer from the general white populace is, well, it's part of their culture. And it's just what they do. They're used to fighting a lot. Even females are used to fighting. It's just part of their culture.
Was it a black woman that
yes,
they were beating?
It was a black woman. And it's okay. That's something they have to deal with. That's just something they do. And that
it's actually not a current player or a former one. It's somebody who's about to join the team.
No.
He's a 5-star recruit.
He had committed to Ole Miss. Then he switched. He didn't come here.
Yeah. He's a recruit for Mississippi State. He hasn't played yet.
I said, yeah. Well,
he's an incoming freshman.
Well, he's apparently he's not going to get in trouble for this because there has been no action down, and they're really refusing to do anything. But
that's what happens with 5-star football players, especially on bad football teams.
But what really got me was that the excuse was it's part of their culture. This wasn't a black person saying, "Oh, it's part of our culture. We just beat the hell out of women." This is white people going, "Nah, this is what black people do. It's fine. It's cultural." I'm sorry, I don't know what culture.
See, that's the privilege of a football player in American culture.
Okay.
Right there.
See, okay, you want to call that privilege, but the only reason he is even getting that excuse of it's only culture is because he can play football. And
yes, I know. That's the whole point I was just making.
But that's not really privilege. He's a slave. I don't care what people say. black college boys, especially, the only reason they're getting this kind of treatment is because their black bodies are useful. They bring in money, they bring in prestige. If they didn't bring that, they would be useless. That's slavery.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that that's the reason he's going to get off without any punishment, because he is a football player. It doesn't matter if he's white or black in this instance. He's getting off because he's a damn good football player.
He's a good slave.
Yes.
Just be real. He's a good slave. Where I'm from, they call them house niggas. And that's crazy. And once again, in America, there may not be official slavery, but you can still trade in black bodies all day. It's called sports.
Well, when you start at the bottom, there's generally only a handful of ways to get out of poverty in this country.
And that's what's fucked up. That's the thing they feed you. When you're black, that's what they feed you. The way you're going to be successful most of the time, especially as a black male, because you don't get it as a black female. Black female, honestly, you're just supposed to, find a good man to lay up with, because that's acceptable apparently. But as a black male, you only have like 3 real options to get out. You could either become a musician, or you can become a sports player. And sports player, you are literally playing for the entertainment and wills of, and I hate to say it, of white masters. All the owners, most of the people consuming it, and
how many black owners are there in the NFL? I don't think any.
No, black owners. Yeah, sums up the word right there. JJ must be looking it up, but
yeah.
It's supposed to be this new modern world where slavery doesn't exist and we're all equal and shit. But no, you traded in black bodies. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have sports fans and stuff to disagree with me, but unfortunately it's true. It is.
Okay, of the 3 biggest leagues in the United States, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL, there are 92 teams, and there is 1 black principal owner. I'm sure you can guess who that owner is. Michael Jordan.
Oh, he's not. He ain't been black for a while. Any man who says his Jordans aren't meant for black people, and then has the nerve to walk around for like 2 years with a goddamn Hitler stash, ain't black no more.
He's been disowned.
He's been disowned. Well, he'll never be disowned as long as he's the greatest greatest basketball player of all time. And as long as Space Jam is still on the air, he will never be disowned.
That's a great movie.
That's a great movie. Okay, now I want to go watch Space Jam.
Everybody get up.
Shut up. Don't do that. Don't go down this path. I don't want to believe I can fly right now. But yeah, like, oh my God, there's just so many things that piss me off when it comes to this stuff. And on a very personal level, I am the least intimidating black guy in the world. I'm also one of the least stereotypical black guys in the world. So,
well, of course, you like musicals.
Shut up.
Hey, I like musicals too. I'm not judging.
But so growing up, I always felt weird, and I always felt, and I guess it wasn't too much because my family's supportive. But being a black kid who wasn't that great at sports, I played football a few years because I was fat as all hell, and it took a lot to knock me over. But that's about it. Once I lost weight, that was over. But being a black kid that wasn't good at sports and preferred reading and being in choir and just being intelligent in general, you get a lot of shit. Like, you catch all hell, and it's not fair. It's not fair, and it always made me so goddamn pissed off, because it's already an uphill battle trying to thrive in America at being black. But when you got the black community going, well, you're not like the rest of us, it's even harder. And it's bullshit, because I look at white America, and you really get the idea that you can be anything. You can be and do anything, even in the poorest neighborhoods, in the trailer parks, in the shacks and tins of Appalachia. Little white kids are at least fed the story that they can be anything.
Yeah, they're fed the story, but it's
not
not
true
true in the country for anybody anymore.
Of course, but
it makes it a lot harder when everyone just tells you you can be an athlete, a musician, or a drug dealer from the time you're born is the only way you're going to ever get money.
And that's what I'm that's what I'm getting at. That is true. Like, it may not be true that everybody can succeed, but at least you have gotten the story that you can possibly be anything. May not be true, but you got the motivation. We don't get the motivation. You are not told that you can be anything until Barack Obama got into the White House, and I mean until he didn't get assassinated, basically.
Well, keep your fingers crossed, because there's still a year left.
Yes.
And there are a lot of crazy white people in this country.
True.
With guns.
I think they'll let him survive. But the very fact that he didn't get popped walking across the podium on his first day, like, black people were like, "Oh, he's real." But no, like, until Barack Obama, when it came down to you can even be president, nope, we didn't get that talk. Your black ass wouldn't be in president. And I was sure when Obama was running for president, I was like, he's not gonna win. He's black. He ain't winning.
Oh, you gotta look at the numbers. I knew he was gonna win.
Black people had a lot of joy, but not a lot of faith in Barack. Like we just knew, and we would like, if he.
No, you had the faith in him. You didn't have the faith in
America,
white people to vote for him.
Yeah, we don't have faith in y'all for a lot.
Probably good. You should probably not trust us.
I mean, it worked out so well for us the first time.
We offered you a boat ride.
Yeah. You offered
Could be worse. Look what we offered the Native Americans.
Smallpox.
Yeah. We gave them a blanket.
Smallpox blanket.
So, note to self, don't take boat rides with white people.
Don't take blankets.
Don't take blankets.
Basically, just don't take anything.
Yeah, just not if a white person.
Don't take anything free from a white guy.
I will agree with that statement. If white people offer anything free, don't take it. God.
The moral of this podcast episode.
The moral of the podcast.
Don't take any free things from white people.
Huh. That may be why Bernie Sanders is not getting the black vote.
Except he's Jewish.
Hey, we don't know the difference. All we see is a white face.
Most white people don't either, so it's okay.
Good Lord. Oh my. Shit, I'm still seething on the inside, trying not to burst into random fits of this is some bullshit.
Well, that's good. It means you're human. If you're not pissed off by the state of the world and trying to make it a better place, then you're not a person.
There are a lot of people that are not people.
No, they're not.
Oh, man.
Our ancestors have spent thousands of years trying to make the world a better place for the next generation.
Who's
and
ancestors?
You're just trying to continue.
That's what I was
everybody's
thinking.
ancestors, humanity collectively.
I don't buy it.
That's what I mean in this instance.
I don't buy
That's
it.
why we have the internet.
No, we have the internet because of Al Gore. That's right.
Because
That's
if
true.
you trace back everybody's lineage far enough, it comes from Africa.
Shh. No, don't say that out loud. We came from East. Well, you guys came from Northern Europe. Adam and Eve were descended from the Caucasus Mountains, born perfect. Okay, what you talking about? Not like they were made of clay or anything in that story. Remind me again, what color's clay?
I suppose it depends on the type of clay. There's some of it that's gray.
Oh,
There's white clay.
Yeah, there is.
if the listeners could only see the look I just gave Shilpa just then,
Just pointing out a fact.
I choose to think it was red clay, and that's what I'm going with. Nice.
Well, so far as I know, when white people took over India, I don't think they committed genocide. I don't know. I can't say for certain, so I shouldn't make the comment.
Well, that was different because they still used the Indian people to get things.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was better for them to do that than to just kill them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, white people got on the whole, we're going to use people instead of killing them after a while.
Yeah, they realized they didn't want to have to do the manual labor themselves, so...
And then Hitler was like, we're bringing it back, guys! We're bringing back genocide! You thought we were finished, but the Jews never saw it coming.
I think they saw it coming pretty strongly.
Probably.
Although, I imagine a couple of them didn't that were actually members of the Nazi Party to begin with.
I bet.
There were Jews who were members of the Nazi Party.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, they were all killed when Hitler assassinated all his political rivals.
I bet that was an awkward conversation. So, Mr. Spielberg,
Spielberg.
we're going to have to let you go. Why? I mean, I like the Nazi Party. We're going a different direction with our party. I'm gonna ask you to step outside and go to the soldiers out front. Why? Where I'm going? Don't ask that question.
Don't ask what you don't want to know.
Yeah. Just make sure when you get into that room to inhale deeply. Don't hold your breath. It's just gonna take longer. The fuck? Oh my god.
Embrace the dark side, Rakeem.
Yeah. So it seems that our we've dug into history pretty deep enough, and
Covered a lot of ground.
we've covered a shit ton of ground. This is probably the most we've covered in a podcast, and we probably could have covered more if our other hosts were here. But like I said, one disappeared on us in the beginning, and the other one, we may never know what her adventures led. Maybe she slayed a dragon. Maybe she took the One Ring to Mordor. We'll never know. Well, we'll probably know next week when she comes back. Anyway, we're about running at about an hour and a half. So it's usually about the time we wrap it up. Once again, I'd like to thank Shilpa for being our special guest today on this very illuminating podcast.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
It was fun. I enjoy it. We got down to from 2 white people to just 1.
Should I be worried here?
Oh yeah, you're done here. This is all part of the plan.
We're going
Hey
in
now,
different directions.
my ancestors were Quakers and part of the Underground Railroad. You shouldn't at least not kill me.
Well, as Shilpa said, we're going a different direction. Please step outside. There's going to be soldiers waiting. Remember to inhale deeply.
Fuck you, Rakeem.
Well, as always, this has been the Angry Black Atheist Podcast. I am Rakeem, signing out, along with JJ
Hi.
and Shilpa.
See you later.
And I will say a quick goodbye for Sam, who was not here, and Holly, who Dasha. Oh yeah, fuck. And Holly, who may or may not have done something cool or not. Who knows? We never know. We'll never know. Stay tuned. Looks like we'll be seeing you guys next week. Good night.